Hey, what's up, guys? Fork here, and welcome to the 5th episode of the Happy and Safe podcast. As always, I am joined by Samuel, aka Murpher.
Hi. What's up?
So this week we were a day late, and that is for a couple reasons. One, yesterday the scheduling was a little bit off. Sam had some stuff he had to do in the morning, and then later in the day I had some stuff I had to do. And two, I have had some really dope internet issues pretty much all week. So if you've also been wondering where the stream has been, that's where it's been. I've been fighting with my internet company, trying to call them. Called them twice, not getting calls back. Just enjoying a great time. I think the best part about it is it's not even going off. It's just fluctuating super hard, so I can't get any kind of stable connection. But internet issues aside, we are going to start, as we always do, talking about what we've done for the last week. If Samuel, if you would like to take it away.
Your boy Murphy here just been playing RuneScape and a little bit of Counter-Strike as always, because I still have a trash computer and I'm never going to be able to run any games that come out.
Alright, so a quick recap. Sam has given up on himself in the last week. I, on the other hand, have been trying really hard to be optimistic despite it not working. I have been trying really hard all week. So if you've been following what I've been doing at all on Twitter, and I've said it a few times in my YouTube videos, this was going to be the week that I started streaming really hardcore again, sticking to the schedule that I was on before. Well, Monday and Tuesday, everything's fine. I hit Wednesday, and I'm trying to play some CS with Sam on stream, and I'm rocking a 100 ping at the lowest. Which, if you don't have great internet, you're like, oh, this shit happens. No, it doesn't, because normally I have like a 12 ping when we're playing CS. I go anywhere from
I have 60. I always have 60.
I can go anywhere from like 10 to like 60 on a really bad day. I can hit 60, but in between 10 and 30 is normal for me. So I'm rocking a 100 plus ping. The stream's cutting in and out. It's really trash. So I decided that I was gonna give my internet a call. I did that. They told me that they were working on some stuff, and that's probably why it's been spotty. That's fine. The next day comes. It's still just as bad. I give him a call. The man tells me that they had to rebuild his computer that morning, and that's why I didn't get a call back and none of my information's in the system. So I had to give him all my information again, tell him my problem, all this stuff. If things are falling apart to the point where individual employees' computers are having to be rebuilt, I gotta wonder what kind of fire is going on at my internet company. So I talked to this guy the second day after he tells me all this, and he says that they're going to monitor the situation and call me back the next day in case they need to send somebody out. Guess who didn't get a call back? And I was supposed to get called yesterday. I haven't heard anything from them today either. I also haven't done a ton of stuff today on the internet, so the internet could be better. I'm not 100% positive. After the podcast, I'm going to do some checking and possibly stream after it gets uploaded, but God knows if that's going to happen. So I've been playing the real life game this week. My Life is a Piece of Shit DLC.
Dope.
Because I've been fucking with my internet for days now.
That's super dope, dude.
Oh yeah, it's been great. So as what seems to be the usual on this podcast, I do want to change things up just a little bit. We have a process that is super in the works still. I just want to get this podcast to a point where it's kind of streamlined, but has a bunch of different segments, and we're just still experimenting with stuff. So one thing I want to add this week and in the coming weeks, if it pertains, is fast news. I don't have a name for it. There's nothing catchier than I have for you than fast news. But it's essentially the articles that I find when I'm looking through that are either too short to really talk about for too long a time, or the article itself isn't really expanding on it. So we're going to start with that. And to start that segment off this week, we're going to start with the fact that Samsung, for the first time since 1993, could pass Intel in the chip selling market. Samuel, your thoughts?
That's crazy, dude. That is just, I don't really have any other thoughts, but that's pretty fucking cool.
It's good to see some diversity in the market, especially since things haven't changed for 24 years. Last time Intel wasn't the top.
Hours.
It's been 15 hours, you're right, that's it. It's no, but for the last 24 years, Intel has been at the top, and so for the first time since then, we're seeing some kind of market changes. So market diversity is always good. Competition in the end is usually better for the consumer. So I have no qualms. I have no problem with this. I think this is a good thing. So for our second part of this quick news segment, LG has released a new monitor that I want to give some details to you about, Samuel, and see how you feel. So it's a 42.5-inch monitor.
Interesting.
Which is pretty large. It's a 4K monitor. It's available for pre-order for about $700. But what sets this thing apart is they essentially want to make this your only monitor, because it is capable of showing you 4 different displays at the same time.
What?
So essentially now, if you're multitasking on your computer at all, you know things like Windows 10 have the ability to drag things off to the side, then they share equal window space. It's a very similar concept with this, but you can get inputs from different sources and do the same thing. So it's got a ton of ports on the back. You've got 2 HDMI 2.0 ports. You've got 2 HDMI 1.4 ports, a display port, a USB Type-C, and then a pair of regular USBs, because you can actually plug a mouse and keyboard directly into the monitor.
That's crazy.
What's also crazy is that the monitor supports LG's dual controller feature, meaning you can control 2 different computers plugged into it using the same mouse and keyboard. So the only real problem with this monitor, if you are a gamer, is the fact that it runs at a native 60 Hz and no higher. So if you're really trying to play the elite game, running your 144 Hz, and even some monitors have come out with 240 Hz now, if you're looking for that, you're not going to find it with this monitor. But if you're not looking for that, then it's a great monitor. I mean, this sounds ridiculous, but it's just they don't think a lot of gamers are going to flock to it because of the refresh rate. So that was quick news, just short little things I wanted to talk about. Not a lot of, can't really delve too far into them, but there they are. The first story, though, that I do want to delve into has to do with the great land, Scandinavia. IKEA is asking people, they've put out surveys to ask people, if you were to have a robot or an AI running your home, what would you want it to be like? And to be honest, I'm looking through this survey and the answers, and a lot of the answers people have given scare the shit out of me. Why would you want this? And it's fine if you want some sort of AI running parts of your home. Some people already do. They've got things like Alexa, the Echo Dot. You can connect those things to things like thermostats and things like that, but your input is very important for those. So the idea of the AI tech in your home does not scare me. What scares me is the answers that some of these people have given. So the first question on the survey is, what form should your AI take? 77% of people said that they want it to be human-like. Why? That's horrifying. I don't need some human-ish robot walking around. I'd like it to be a robot. You know, when you mix human and robot, that's really where we get the scary sentience. You know,
that's where you get the weirdos that are like trying to have those
like
blowjob robots.
Well, it's like, can I fuck it? You know, is that? The answer is no. Don't fuck your IKEA robot. But it's when you have movies and shit that are worried about robots wandering and getting sentience and all this, the more human you make them, the closer we get to shit like that. So this off the bat seems like a mistake. So the second question in this survey is, what gender should your AI be? 42% of people said gender neutral. That's fine. I don't have an issue with that. Most things now give you a choice. You can change the voices now in like Siri and shit. But that's not a question that I think really has any adverse effects. The third question is probably the most horrifying thing in this whole survey. Should your AI reflect your values and worldview? 69% of people said yes. That worries me. I don't need the robot thinking like me. I don't really need the robot thinking about much at all. But how far does that go? Racists exist, you know? Are the AIs going to start being a racist if you're a racist? If they're trying to build a bot that it can somehow reflect your values and worldview, I mean, that's great for understanding, you know, having a robot tend to your cultural needs if you have something like that, but it could go really poorly. And as we've seen in the past with that Twitter bot, you remember that Twitter bot?
Yeah.
It went racist immediately. It got racist. and was yelling about the Jews and Nazism. It took like 2 days, and they were like, "This is the greatest This is the greatest learning AI we've made ever," and then it was racist in 2 days. So this is this is a really worrying system. So there are 6 questions in total. We're about halfway through. Should your AI be able to detect and react to emotions? 87% said yes.
No, it shouldn't.
People,
Fucking robot to clean my fucking house, dude.
people want their house to know when they're sad. I don't know what that. I don't know what that does for you. Like, what is the its fucking arm's gonna pop out of my wall and offer me a tissue if I'm crying?
Fucking shove their like hand up my ass, thinking they're gonna pat my back and like miss, and then be like super racist, just shouting out racist shit. Like, yes, it shares my worldviews. I'm an old person and I've got a fucking house robot.
So in Sam's world, this IKEA robot is going to fist you while yelling racial slurs. Okay, well let's reel it back in. There's a little bit of hope in this next question. Do you want your AI to be religious? 69% of people said no. So thank God, because why would you try to teach religion to a robot?
I need my robot to be religious as fuck and reading me the Bible every day.
Although a worrying 31% of people said yes. So that's
welcome to America.
That's not great. So last but not least, should your AI fulfill your needs before you ask? 67% of people said yes. I don't know how I feel about that one.
No.
Because if it can fulfill my needs before I ask, it's learning about me.
Just like that fucking terrible Disney movie where the house starts getting all weird.
Oh, you mean
like,
Smart House, my guy?
Yeah, and the house is getting like real weird and like starting to do too much, and it's like it's not cool anymore. And the smart house is just crazy, and nobody wants to live there.
Well, but then they have a nice heart to heart, and she makes some orange juice and chocolate chip pancakes. Do you see the end? No one dies in that movie. Okay,
it's
not
a
Disney
single
movie.
Person. Somebody dies.
No, what do you mean nobody dies in that
Everybody
movie?
dies.
I don't think they have a mom. But yeah, there's too many of these answers are worrisome.
Welcome to America, folk.
They say, should it be, if you want an AI in charge of your house, how would you want it to act? Should it be autonomous and challenging, or obedient and assisting? Obedient and assisting is the right answer.
Assisting is the answer.
It's the only
If you don't
answer.
choose it, you're an idiot. You need to get the fuck out of here.
There were so many jokes about Robot Uprising and movies and shit. It's coming, and it's coming strong. Stuff like this is the reason why those things happen. Have you seen none of those movies? There's no one worried about this.
The government, dude, they're brainwashing everyone.
Let's not get back into this. Let's not go back into that. That's a rabbit hole I'm not trying to travel down.
Travel downstairs, friends.
But as far as we know right now, and this was only some of the questions in the survey. I'm not given a full list of questions. I have a link to the survey, but I don't want to take it. So I think in conclusion, no, I don't need my robot knowing my emotions. I don't need it knowing what I need before I need it. I need it to be as readily available for me to ask it to do things as possible. I don't need it to know that I'm going to ask it to do those things.
People just know that like I'm going to come home and then I don't want to have it like putting shit out on the fucking table.
It's got rose petals leading from the door.
Yeah, like what's going on, dude?
Yeah, would it waste my shit? Like if I go to the grocery store and I buy groceries, right? And the robot knows I need to eat dinner because I'm a human being. Is it going to make me a dinner that I didn't ask it to make? Or
if
like
the robot knows I like to eat dinner or maybe I ate dinner, the day before at a earlier time. What if I'm like not home at that time? Is the robot just going to be making dinner and I come home and it's just old ass fucking plate of food?
You went out of town and it made a bunch of dinners.
I'm just like, what's going on? Who made this robot? Oh yeah, IKEA. Fuck them.
Yeah, I don't need to be going on vacation and coming home to 5 dinners made while I was gone.
5 made dinners that are now spoiled and the house smells like shit.
Hey, maybe the robot's smart enough to package them up. You know, maybe it detects the food and it's like, this food's been
right,
out
dude,
for a
you're
long
right.
time. Let's get
Tweets.
some. I need a Tupperware robot. Is what I need. A robot that just
That would be
detects
great. I'm
food.
sick of having to go lean down, grab Tupperware out of the cabinet, and then put the food in it, and then put it in, one of the 2 fridges we have at this house. And it's just a whole process, and I'd rather just have a robot do it for me.
Oh God, I mean, there is so many of the articles we talk about are just the epitome of first world problems. None of these robots, can we talk about that? None of the robots or technical advances that we've talked about have been, let's fix poverty or help impoverished countries or end war, or it's all been, do you want to fly in a car? Let's make your taxi ride shorter.
House robot.
Let's fuck it. Like, I don't know.
There's a house robot, human-styled house robot, autonomous sex with it.
Gone wrong in the hood.
In the hood, prank, 17, cameras everywhere.
Mommy makeout day.
Out. Ew.
So it's. I mean, obviously, if you can afford a house robot, you're probably not dealing with a lot of problems. Because I can't imagine that house robots are going to be like a cheap thing.
Shit is already expensive as fuck.
So it's, and like I said, it's just a survey. No house robots are coming out on the market anytime soon. But these are the building blocks. These are the beginning steps of house robots being an existing thing.
iRobot, anybody remember it? It's coming.
It's coming, and it's coming to build your IKEA furniture and then kill you.
And Will Smith is in it.
Will Smith, if you buy a robot today, Will Smith will come into your home and just be there and yell about how your robot's going to kill you.
So watch out, brother.
So for the next, we're still honestly, this we should just change the name of this podcast to Future Watch, because there's no tech news that comes out that doesn't sound futuristic as shit anymore. So SpaceX, you know him, you love him, Mr. Elon Musk, as usual, up to his crazy shenanigans once again. SpaceX has its sights set on Mars, but that doesn't mean it has forgotten about Earth. Yesterday, they outlined a plan to put a network of internet-providing satellites around the planet. So they're going to be launching a bunch of satellites into orbit that are going to give us internet. Samuel, your initial thoughts, because I have a few more details I want to tell you in a second that I think will be interesting. But initially, how you feel?
It's just me, we're getting better internet, or what?
That's the goal.
That's fine with me.
So they're saying that they can actually provide you with a latency of around 35 ms with these satellites. And the speed should be anywhere between current cable and fiber optic.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's in theory, it's really decent. So they're planning on launching these satellites into low orbit. What I think is nuts, though, is the current estimated amount of satellites that are in orbit at any given time is 1,459. At the moment, that's how many are up there. At the moment of this article being written, that's how many are up there. The amount of satellites that they want to put into orbit, the plan for SpaceX is to put 4,425 satellites into orbit. So they're going to single-handedly triple the amount of satellites in orbit. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie WALL-E, where there's so much shit orbiting the planet that when they try to leave it, they gotta break through this layer of shit. But we're headed that direction as well. Okay, if you listen to this podcast and you come away with anything, the moral of the story is the future's going exactly like people said it was going to.
Oh, we're fucked.
Which is good and bad. But in a lot of ways, it's bad. The article says, but while the plan might increase the amount of space junk, it could also make it much easier for everyone to get relatively fast internet back on Earth. So, essentially, having as they're calling it, a space-based network, fucking rhymes.
Boy.
It means that companies don't need to install, rip up, and reinstall cabling in order to provide a service. And it goes on to say, in other words, the common challenges associated with siting, digging trenches, laying fiber, and dealing with property rights are materially alleviated through a space-based broadband network. You ever had satellite TV?
Just want less jobs.
You're taking those jobs away, but you ever had satellite TV?
No.
It's not good. It can be, but it's not. Like, on a rainy day, like, am I going to be having a great game of Counter-Strike and then a cloud passes over and my internet gets shitty? Like, this satellite technology is just really not, it's not good enough for this. And I know that they're not trying to make the world do a full switch. I mean, okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves. If Elon Musk had the perfect world, we would have underground trains traveling at thousands of miles an hour, flying cars, telepathic implants in our brain, and internet from the sky. But this man's he's very ambitious. While we wouldn't be making the full switch to something like this anytime soon, I gotta wonder if it would even be a good thing, or if it would even work in a way that they want it to work. So I think, all concerns aside about launching satellites into space and whether or not they would actually work, the plans to start building the network will start in 2019, and they're hoping to have the full satellite launch and have everything up there by 2024. So between 2019 and 2024, they're going to keep launching satellites up there. So the actual system's not going to be done for the next, 7 years?
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see. We'll see if it's any good. But to close the podcast out, it's a game that we've talked about before and expressed some disappointments in it before. But they have a new system that's coming to the game that actually sparks my interest and kind of, at least somewhat, quells the issues that I had. In some way, it's not a great story ending, but it does give you a little something. So Ark Survival Evolved is getting updates that sort of lead up to what is being called the Ascension. So in a sort of TLDR summary of this, it says, what is the Ascension? It involves beating all the bosses, going into the volcano, completing an uber hard dungeon, and traveling through a Stargate, beating a fourth final boss, and discovering the true nature of the Ark. So I guess, yeah, it has story elements. It seems like it's pretty put together. Sacrificing your character and resurrecting as a new character containing a soul cube with a progressive level cap. And then if done again, taking on bosses that are scaled even more difficultly and having some changes each time. So if any of that is true, that's fucking awesome.
Sounds dope.
If any of that comes to actual fruition, that sounds awesome, because I'm not sure what episode it was,
the game was really missing.
Yeah, and on one of the other episodes of the podcast, it's specifically what I said bummed me out about Ark, is that it didn't finish. It set up all this stuff and then didn't really culminate into anything real. They released that shitty DLC, and it was just kind of garbage. I didn't even buy it. I didn't want to. It was really dumb. And I thought it was really stupid to release a DLC when you weren't even a full game yet. Yeah. But if anything that I just read to you is real, even a little bit, it sounds awesome.
It sounds like it's going to be super, I don't know, just like you said. So is it just like over and over you're just ascending, fighting harder bosses, or is it like you eventually get to the end? Because I don't understand.
Well, it sounds like the first time through, you're going to get all your story elements. You're going to see all of that. But it gives you the ability to essentially start a fresh character that has these upgrades within them. So it's kind of like, I know you didn't really play Diablo, but if anyone who knows what a Paragon system is, it's kind of like that. So you'll reach your max level, you'll get all your dinos, you set up your base, you'll have your weapons, things like that. And then your goal is to go in, fight all the bosses you can. Then once you fought all, I think there's 3 bosses. I think there's a boss per obelisk. Once you fight all 3 bosses, you then go into the volcano, go real deep in that bitch. There's a dungeon in there where you fight your way through. You find this Stargate thing that ascends you You then fight a fourth boss, and if you win, you sacrifice your character's life. And you start it
Oh,
starts you a new character, but that character has boosts on it essentially. So you have
that's
some you have some boosts to your stats that you retain through the sacrifice.
all right.
I, honestly, it's enough to make me want to go back and play Ark again.
That'd make me want to play with my good 14 friends, dude.
Like I want to jump on again just to see anything about it because I have left Ark completely alone for a while, and I haven't touched it at all.
Yo, I'll have to download the updates for about 5 hours because I haven't downloaded any of them.
All the mods and shit. I'd say let's go play a vanilla server, but no.
We should probably just spend a few weeks on a vanilla server. Maybe you're role playing.
Yeah, I'll roleplay stream starting tonight. We're gonna play Ark, and we're gonna. But
Woo!
where I wanted this conversation to kind of go, because the idea of this gets me really excited. There are too many games, too many of these survival games. Obviously, we had a huge wave of them that came out that hint at story and then do nothing. And that was a huge problem I had with Ark. I think a really good example of doing that properly was The Forest. And if you've been following my channel, I did a video on The Forest that shows kind of the way it ends and goes through that. So I guess, Samuel, my question to you is, when you're playing a survival game like this, do you think that having an end game is important?
I think having an end game is extremely important for games like Ark and games like The Forest and stuff. I mean, games like Rust and like stuff like that, I guess, doesn't really matter because you're kind of just there to kill other people and try to be the best on whatever server. It's like playing Minecraft. Minecraft has an end game. But it's like survival games definitely need to have some sort of like boss or like some sort of end. Maybe it's not the end of the game, but it's like you've reached a super high level or whatever on the survival scale of that game.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it really makes sense to just be doing the same shit always over and over. You
Well,
do everything in the game that you can, and then you have nothing else to do.
I think the Ark devs, they're being really smart about it, because a Paragon-esque system it works and has worked for a very long time. Just the idea that once you hit max level, you can just keep playing and you can play again and you can get even more powerful and all this stuff, even though you're past the conventional level cap, quote unquote. I think it's a really smart idea, and it actually it makes me want to go back and play Ark, because I feel like that's what I was doing anyway.
Yeah.
Because when you go onto a server, because like we talked about, we played a bunch of modded servers. Because vanilla is so slow, and it takes so long to do everything, and it sucks.
I'm not trying to sit there for hours when I'm trying to tame a fucking dino, dude.
But essentially, if you play on a modded server like that and you leave overnight, don't expect any of your shit to still be there in the morning.
Yeah, it'll be gone, and then you're like upset about it, and then you go build all that shit again within an hour the next day, and then it just keeps happening over and over, and then you just quit.
But I think what's awesome is that this gives me a reason to not be so upset about that, because I'm gonna have it's not gonna be us building a base and having all these dinosaurs and then, okay, what do we do now? And we're just flying around looking for dragons essentially for the rest of the time we're playing. It's going to be, okay, we have our base set up, we have all the dinos we need, what do we need to do to get the next boss thing? Or what do we need to do for this? Like, you can work towards getting into this dungeon every time. And they're even having it to where if you have ascended, the next time you go into the dungeon, it's going to be harder. And it's going to change a little bit. So they're essentially trying to make this end game situation as replayable as possible. I think it's so smart. I think it's such a good idea.
Yeah, definitely some genius.
And I didn't know this was even happening, and I'm actually about to go see if I still have Ark downloaded, because I want to read through some shit and jump on the game and fuck with it. It's actually excited me that much. But I think in the end, end game, because I'm someone who loves story. And if you give me a little bit of story and then do nothing with it, it's going to disappoint me every time.
I think everybody can love a good story, dude.
So I think that's going to be all for this week. I know it's a little bit shorter. It's quite a bit shorter than some of our podcasts, but it's been kind of a rough week. Both technologically and just in general. For me personally, it's been a rough week dealing with my internet and technical issues and stuff. So I think we're just going to end the podcast there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed listening to it. Samuel, do you have anything to say in closing?
Follow me on Twitter at itsmurfer, please.
Please, no one follows me, and I cry a lot.
Follows me and I cry about 16 times a day.
So next week, hopefully things will be a little more back on track. If my internet isn't fixed by next week, I'm just going to throw myself off the roof, so don't expect any content. So as for next week, you guys kind of keep an eye out for Tuesday, because I have an idea that I want to do. It involves another creepypasta reading, but I want to do it in sort of a different way. So hopefully the idea I have in my head comes to fruition, because I think it'd be really cool and involves some acting and work like that. So that would be really cool to do, and I'm really hoping to. But next week, little Samuel is coming over to my apartment. So there is a chance. What I kind of want to do is do a video version of this podcast. It'll essentially be me and Sam sitting at a table together, just doing the podcast, but you'll be able to see us, and it'll be super sexual the whole time. You want that, Samuel? You want it to be sexual the whole time?
I'm trying to fuck all the time on camera. It'll be uploaded on Pornhub under my account, smallcock37. Check it out.
It'll be great. We'll be naked the entire time. No, but for real, I do want to do a video podcast possibly next week. So that's what you have to look forward to next week. I've already given you all the information I can about Wow Wednesday and my last Wow Wednesday video. So anything I said in that video is what's going on with that next week. But as for right now, I hope you guys enjoyed listening, and I will see you guys on Tuesday.